guys, how's it going? Today we're taking a look at yet another antique engine. This is my 1928 Briggs & Stratton model FH, as you can see there. It's a straight fin variety, as you can see there. And I am very excited about this thing because I've wanted one of these for quite some time. Probably since I got into the engine hobby years and years ago watching 805 Road Kings videos. He did quite a few of these and I always thought they were super neat. Problem is, A, there aren't many around here on Long Island for sale, and then B, when you do find them, even not here, at other shows, they usually go for a pretty penny. So I could never justify buying one until this thing came up. This was listed for like 150 bucks on the Long Island Antique Power Association club page. And I actually knew the lady who was selling it. So I contacted her and I asked her if she would take a little bit off of that for me. And we came to a deal, and I am very happy with this. I believe this belonged to her father-in-law at one point. I'm not entirely sure, I kind of forget the story. But either way, it's a really nice shape and it actually runs. So this is probably the first engine I've ever bought that was already in running condition. At least the first in a very long time. But yeah, the thing's in great condition, it runs pretty good. And I'm very happy with it. And I'm just very excited to finally own an FH. I actually got one at Cool Spring 2 years ago. Greg Ackerley gave it to me, so I really appreciate that. But that thing is a bit of a boat anchor. It is completely rusted and seized solid. So that is currently soaking over in the garage there. It's completely in pieces, and that thing's going to need quite a bit of work. So I grabbed this thing because A, I couldn't turn down the deal, and B, I figured even if I do get the other one running, this one's a straight fin and that one's a slant fin, so they're two slightly different ones. Or worst case, I can use that one for parts if this thing ever needs. But yeah, it runs really good. I'm pretty darn happy with my purchase, so I figured I'd just give you guys an overview video here. It's got the smaller bell on the other side rather than a separate flywheel. I kind of like the look of the flywheels on the other side, but this is neat too. These are overhead valve with an exposed rocker arm here. It's pretty neat. You get to see it going up and down. And the intake valve doesn't move much, but it's there. And it's atmospheric, which is pretty neat. Good old Champion plug. That's probably original or pretty close to being rebuildable like that. These old plugs that have the second nut there, you can unscrew that and you can pull the porcelain out and you can rebuild the plugs, which is pretty neat. And somebody did a nice job on this. I think it may have been restored, or if not restored, then touched up, because the paint's in really good shape. And there's also these accents, like these plugs are all red and then the oil ones are yellow. And then somebody's done some work on this carburetor too, because as you can see, the governor's not attached. And it's got this weird homemade arm on it with a little spring-loaded thing attached to the throttle. So you kind of set the speed with that thumb screw there and it just stays there, which is not original and not the prettiest looking thing in the world. I might redo the way that he has this set up a bit, but for now it works. You can see there's a little line on the carburetor where I guess he used to set it for the mixture. But yeah, it's a neat little piece. Basically, I got this thing and it still had gas in it, and I kicked it over a million times and it finally fired up. And it halfway ran, but it didn't run right. So what I did was I put some fresh gas in it, and then I went ahead and sealed up this intake pipe because this was just sitting in there flopping around and it must have been a massive air leak. So I sealed that up on both sides, and that's pretty much all I've done to it. Put a muffler on it too. I know it's not original, but it's kind of sort of similar to the original muffler. I think that's actually a Kohler muffler if I remember correctly. It had a straight pipe on it. And now, happy to say it runs pretty darn good. So I guess without further ado, I'm going to put the camera down on something, we'll fire this thing up, and I'll show you how it runs. Alrighty, let's go ahead and give this thing a start. Definitely needs a different skid on it because it's quite difficult to start the way it is now. The skid just kind of wants to tip over, but usually richen it up a little bit. I choke it, I start pumping it with my foot, get into a rhythm, it'll pop, you let your finger off the choke, you know, to unchoke it, and then it fires right up. So let's see what happens. Yeah. Oh. There we go. Chain wasn't lined up right for a second there. Again, this thing needs a couple little things. It's pretty much an as-found condition. I stayed there for a second because every once in a while it wants a little bit more choke. But yeah, once you get it running, it seems to run pretty good. Occasionally it will kind of speed up and slow down a little bit on its own, which is a little odd, but given that this is all like fabric cobbled together over here, not too terribly surprising. Plus I'm sure that the throttle butterfly is a little worn and sucking some air in. Yeah, it runs pretty good otherwise. Pretty darn happy with it. Especially for like $100, I can't go wrong there. That was an absolute steal. Sandy, if you happen to be watching this, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you cutting me that deal on this thing. It means a lot. But yeah, I am absolutely overjoyed to finally have a FH in my collection. I've just always really liked these things. I love the way that they look. And they sound neat too. It's just a little putt, 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 putt kind of thing. But yeah, they're just a super basic and bare bones engine. You know, I love how you can see basically the entire cylinder. The exposed valves on the top are neat. And then I always like the look of the teardrop shaped shroud on the front. Go ahead and show you guys the exposed valves going here. I think it's pretty neat to watch. Not going to see the intake moving very much. They hardly move. You can barely see it in person, let alone on camera. I also love how the push rod is really just like a piece of steel that sticks right out of the block there. It sounded pretty good straight pipes, but I just wanted to put the muffler on there for looks because I think they look better with a muffler on them. Plus, I kind of like the sound it's got with that muffler too. In here you can kind of see the original governor. There's two pieces of metal in there that act like weights. And they push on this collar here, which pushes on that fork. It would be trying to pull itself to an idle right now, I believe. It's fighting me doing that. I'm sorry, that would have been trying to open the throttle and then the spring would be fighting it and it would find a balance. I gotta say, I do like the straight fin, the slant fin varieties more, but the straight fin looks pretty neat too. I'm really hoping I can get that other one that Greg gave me up and running at some point, but man, it's rough. We're gonna have to see. If I do get it, if I do manage to get it unstuck, I'm definitely gonna need some parts from Will Woodward, so we'll see what I can come up with. I've just been busy with other projects recently, and it's been soaking with oil in the cylinder for some time, so we'll see what happens there. These are not very rev-happy engines. The rods in them are very, very soft, but I can go up a little bit. That's all I'm giving you. I don't need my rod coming through the block. Smoked a tiny bit there on revving it up, but normally it doesn't smoke bad at all. Plus, I'm not even sure if these things have oil retention rings in them. I want to say they're just a couple compression rings. Not sure though. But either way, I'm super, super happy with it. It runs pretty sweet. And I think all I'm going to really do to it is just do a little bit more fine tuning and do an oil change and then build a better skid for it. And I think it's ready for the shows. I think some of that smoke is the extra oil I spilled all over the head, you know, burning off. Still think that's coming out of the engine. But yeah, they're just such simple little neat engines, and I love watching them run. Pretty darn happy with that. But there you go. Got a cute little kill button on the side there. And that about wraps that up. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the little like and subscribe buttons. I'd appreciate that. By all means, leave a comment if you have one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.